I was like, let me just turn this TV off, let my phone die, so I can just lay in this hot ass garage and have it be a sauna while I think about. Because I've been watching 80s movies, Brat Pack, Brat Pack movies. I just watched 10 Things I Hate About You, 90s movie, Heath Ledger, go. And it's just like the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s were the last interactive places I see. Because right now in this way of living, you look at what is there to do. Go to school, go get that job. If you don't have enough money, go work that part-time job. And all of this, while it is fine and dandy, it's still like, man, I wish there was a place where there was forced proximity, because forced proximity doesn't exist anymore. Like a mall, like a club can be proximity, but and clubs are cool. Clubs are cool. But like I've clubbed a lot, bro. Partied a lot in my life. I was thinking about this right now. And archetypes, I'm every single archetype there is, man. I'm not about to pigeonhole myself, but I've always been pretty known, pretty popular, blah blah blah. I hate even using that fucking term, but just to get this point across. And I feel like being upfront has helped me dissect the situation more. And I remember those days when I was chilling with the popular crowd. Like, I always felt deep down in my chest, like, man, do you guys not see how crappy life is, shitty life is? Like, just these, even back then, I was thinking that back then, I was way ahead of my fucking time, and I really didn't act on it back then, because obviously we're in high school, and it's like survival mechanism, and just really not having the pure, like the 100% confidence you need to have, and conviction really in your own words, and to really stand out and stand on your own. Because yeah, and why I stopped being friends with all those people was because I started speaking how I always thought. And I was like, wait a minute, like, you guys live in this fucking fantasy world, and I can't live. I can't live in fantasy world. I am way too hyper aware, and I tweak out hard. I tweak out too hard constantly, and because I'm a tweaker, I will never be able to fully live in fantasy world. That would never work. But yeah, and I just seen this great tweet where it was talking about how, like, everyone will have to contribute and ball out in your life. Everyone will have to further themselves. Everybody around you has to be doing that in a way that aligns with you. Because I feel like back in the day, it's like, yo, kick your feet up and it just all coasts by. Nowadays, if you go on autopilot and if you just kick your feet up and let it all coast by, you're screwed. You're screwed. And like mentioned, though, back to the 80s and 90s, man, it's like I see the lives that they lived, and I see the past that they went through. Some people not even going to college and still being able to find a way out. And it just seems like because of the prices being so low, it was just a different, like, for them to find satisfaction, I feel. And obviously this is a blanket broad statement. I know it doesn't speak for everyone in the 80s and 90s, but shit, man, the people that I've met who lived through those times, they always describe the times, and they're always like, man, holy shit, dude, we were living it up. and they were able to, have close proximity in the neighborhood, like literally in the 70s, like close proximity. You're next to your neighbor. You're next to your neighbor. Everybody's playing outside nowadays. There is no play outside. My friends, I have not seen them because they're inside. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm inside. And I'm inside right now, and I'm like, I'm tweaking. I spend my time wanting to die when I'm inside. And that's not no woe is me pity shit, but it's just like, for some reason I have a deep thing in me that's just like, bruh, if there was only proximity, like these 80s movies, man, these 80s movies, bruh. The malls, even at school in their detention centers, Breakfast Club, like, bro. And I know it's cliche, pop culture, yada, 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 but you gotta look at it this way. Pop culture was obviously designed off the zeitgeist of the majority. And the zeitgeist and trends of the majority at those times, it brought everyone together. We don't have that anymore because a trend is here today, gone tomorrow. Okay? It's fucking crazy. It's so wild. Like, I'm thinking of Demure right now. Man. Holy shit. Everything that becomes popular is dragged through the mud nowadays. Dragged through the mud with the quickness. Back then, shit's rocking. Motherfuckers slapping Thriller. If Thriller came out today, people would care for a week. Thriller came out then, they've been slapping that shit since then.
I think there's a very healthy thing going on. I don't think.
Come on, Off the Wall, slapping that shit since then. Purple Rain, slapping that shit since then. It's fucking crazy, bro.
Freedom is that you could sometimes indulge yourself
in the music.
express,
And who am I to say I'm not one of those, and I'm not one of those people who talks about, oh man, I was born in the wrong generation. It's not that either.
Very careful to have an aesthetic guiding force.
It's not that.
Kind of a freedom, and also,
It's just I see how the group responded to art, or how the group responded to community, to ideas of community.
No one can deny that this.
And I see how we respond.
But no one would call it art.
And how what we're left with is a fucking wasteland.
Yeah.
And all we're left with is depression and anxiety.
Yeah, we heard.
All we're left with is tweaking. Because, dude, my anxiety levels have been through the fucking roof. Trying to combat and be successful and come up in a time of now. It is such an uphill battle, Sisyphus, every day, pushing the rock up every day. And for some reason I have in me that I'm like, dude, I'm not going to stop. And the only reason I'm not going to stop is because of the things that came before me. It's the only reason I'm not going to stop, because of the things that came before me. Like, that's it.
And it was kind of
I see these great things of the past that were forged. And for some reason I have in my head, I'm like, dude, there was just such great tradition, and someone needs to carry on striving for longevity and greatness, and bringing in community and bringing in proximity and putting themselves in situations where they can win. Because I look around and it's just so easy to feel like a fucking failure. But I feel like a great key to life is to feel like a failure and success at the same time. And another excerpt is literally why every single kid has on this fucking 90s, 2000 streetwear. Everybody's wearing the same shit for a reason. And it's not really because of the clothes. It's because they're fucking lonely and they want a community. And the closest thing to community they have is wearing them baggy ass jeans.